this. Okay, here we are. So this idea that we're looking at a solid, concrete foundation, and it will behoove us in those first 10 weeks or even more to see that that will be what changes the trajectory of our relationship forever, not just for the next week, not just for the next month, and then problems start to creep up again. But when we have a solid foundation, everything else that is built on that will be built on the solid foundation. If we have a brace, we've built on the brace. If we have stress, we built on stress. If we have fear, we build on fear. And everything else that will come after that has that as the foundation: the brace, the stress, the fear, instead of this idea of being calm together, of having lead-mare principles so that your horse and you can feel safe and empowered and confident together. And to me, that is an investment that is for life, right? Because hopefully your horses will get to stick around for you forever and ever. And that is what sometimes for us humans is hard to see, because our society in general, how we're set up to perform, we're set up to be high performers, we're set up to constantly climb the ladder and do better. And there is often very little room to come from a perspective that being and not doing something can actually be extremely purposeful and can really propel us forward. And your horses all need an adequate amount of being time with you to let go of the brace, the stress, the worry, the tension, the fear that they have in various levels, shapes, and forms. And today we're here to look at what's already working, because there's always something already working, whether it's in our horsewomanship or in our everyday life. And I was talking to Linda yesterday from Ireland, this idea that whatever shows up with our horse, I've seen this now for decades. It shows up in our everyday life. I've seen it with myself, and I see it consistently with students. And the difference here in the group is that we are actually willing to look at that, and that we're willing to have the awareness and foster the understanding and take the responsibilities to take appropriate action to facilitate positive change. Other people just buy another horse. And this idea that we're grateful for what we have is really, really important. That's why Angel started with the gratitude post, because it's so easy for us humans to only look at the things that are not working. So we're going to look at what's already there, what's amazing, what's wonderful, and we're looking at the things that's not working from a perspective of taking inventory. You all by now probably know my example. Every year on December 31st, my parents' car dealership was closed, and everybody was there to count parts and cars and stuff. And that's how we should take inventory, right? That it's just a counting of what we have, what we don't have, and knowing that we're empowering ourselves to create positive change while we're doing that, versus, oh my gosh, this is not working, and why can't I not do that? And my horse is just not getting it. And we'll all go there, right? That rabbit hole that I've been talking about in a couple videos in the group. We all go there, and the key is going to be that we foster awareness when we're there, because when you're there, you're not the lead mare, not for your horse, and not in your everyday life. Taking inventory is something that we want to do on a daily basis with our horse. It's something that we want to do routinely, where we write things down, what's happening, what's not happening yet, so that we always go back to clarity, consistency, creating certainty. So that's why I'm always so excited about doing these 90 days set and achieve your goal workshops, because I know from the bottom of my heart, if you take inventory and you get clarity of what's working, what's not working, and we're looking at what strategies you need to work on the things that are not working yet, then you have a road map. And it will behoove you to put this roadmap on your refrigerator, or hang it up somewhere, or put it in your book where you look at it daily. So you have that, and also what you're working towards. Because whether it's in our horsewomanship or in our everyday life, it needs to be something that's worthwhile. It needs to be something that's worthwhile to show up. It needs to be something that's worthwhile to take the time. It needs to be something to maybe quit doing something that you would like to do, but you just don't have time for it, right? Because you have a focus on your horsewomanship. It has to be something where we accept that we sometimes don't feel good as we're going through the change, and that we see that it's worth it for that goal. And it has to be big enough, right? And it has to be realistic enough so that we don't disappoint ourselves at the end of the quarter. And I always like to have like this super big goal, right? Like I want to do classical dressage with Navi and Sari. And I don't know when that's going to happen, right? I wanted to start this winter, and then then the weather came in between. But have something big, and then we chop it down into individual goals. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about what my goals will be and what I see with Sari, to give you an idea of how that can work as we go through the individual components. So does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, wonderful. So let's get started. Everybody has something to write, right? And I want you to kind of look at when you, so for some of you, this is not the first goal setting workshop session, right? You hopefully have your notes from last time. And for some of you, it's the first one. So I always like to look at a couple of things, right? First, when did you start with the program? What was there? What did you want to achieve? And what do you see you've achieved so far, right? And if you've already done a workshop before, then we can either go back to that and look at that, or you can even go to way at the beginning when you started the course. I know some people have signed up for the 3rd year this year, right? And to see what has been possible so far. So I totally leave that up to you in that first exercise. And I want you to look at the little things, right, that you might be taking for granted, but your horse is not. So part of this exercise is that you're looking from your horse's perspective. And I want to get started with that this time. You look at your horse's perspective, and what might your horse see, what has changed in you that facilitate a change in the horse. So we're not even going to look at it from our perspective. We're looking at everything, right? From approach to feeding to haltering, leading, walk exercise. Maybe you're spiraling backwards, maybe you're not spiraling backwards yet, maybe you've done rhythmic motion already, maybe you're working towards the pre-ride safety check. Whatever it is, think of it from your horse's perspective. And I want to get started with number one, being time from your horse's perspective. What does that being time look like? And the 5 areas of confidence. So I'm going to share the screen real quick and pull up the 5 areas of confidence so you have a visual. And I need to go to my Canva to do this. And there we have it. Okay, give me a moment here. I think if I share Safari, then I can. Yep, good. And here and there. As a reminder, the 5 areas of comfort and confidence are the current hierarchy relationship that we have with our horse. We have a certain opinion of our horse, who she is or who she isn't yet. And our horse has an opinion of us, whether we like it or not. And that is the setup of your relationship with your current hierarchy right now. So in what areas, and when you're going through the happy horse inventory, is your horse currently seeing you as the lead? Or is your horse seeing you as non-assertive or passive in certain areas? Or does your horse see you in certain areas as dominant? I remember I had a student that came to me to Colorado, and one of the first things that she said to me was, "Me and my horse fight all the time." That would mean that the horse sees her human as dominant. Once you have that established, how your horse currently sees you, and I would just go through the happy horse inventory, whatever tasks you're currently working on, then look at the environment. How does your horse currently see the environment? How does your horse previously see the environment? How does your horse see the environment now? Looking at your horse's previous experiences and maybe even the trauma that your horse has experienced. How does your horse see life now? And how does those previous experiences and the trauma affect your horse? The position in the herd. Is your horse currently herd bound or not? I had a chat with a mom and daughter team yesterday. The neighbor had the horse for a month and then passed it on to the 13-year-old daughter. I am 100% convinced that this gentleman knew what the horse was like. That's why he didn't keep the horse. And then he had the audacity to pass her on to the neighbor with a 13-year-old daughter. The daughter rode the horse and got bucked off. Interestingly enough, they sent me some videos. That horse that is rather unconfident when it comes to being around the human, and she does not want to be haltered at all. When they sent me a video going through some woody area, the horse was super confident, had the head level with the withers, was nicely walking forward. They had some nice rhythm. She was, for the most part, accepting her human's personal space. What a difference from seeing that horse in the paddock with the other horses. She was totally comfortable by herself with her human walking through the trees. Interesting. So not herd bound, but lots of other baggage. And then, of course, your horse's personality. So I want to give you 5 minutes for each of those areas. And I check in after 5 minutes. And if you would like to share, then go ahead. If you do not want to share, nobody needs to share. Okay, it's really important. You can do this however privately you want to keep that. And if you want to share, that's totally fine too. So again, we're looking at it from your horse's perspective, where your horse is now. And we start out with a current hierarchy that you have in the relationship with your horse right now. And to get that started, and we might not need 5 minutes for each of those, but I'm gonna give you 5 minutes for the first one. And then you let me know whether that timing was good or not so good. And then we just adjust it from there. How does your horse currently feel about being in the herd of two, with you being the lead? And you will be looking at the happy horse inventory, however many tasks you've done so far in that. And I'm going to turn my audio off and my video, and then I shall be back in 5 minutes, which is 9:27. Okay, is it working now? Great. I had to figure out how to get myself back on the screen. Okay. If anybody would like to share, go for it. Just unmute yourself and let us know what came up for you. And like I said, if you do not want to share, that's totally okay too. And what we've been working on is, how does your horse currently perceive you in your herd of two, in the different tasks of the happy horse inventory that you've so far been working on?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's fairly normal, and as I progress, the balance will shift, but I feel like a lot of the in motion things kind of come and go depending on what his challenges are. What's like, he's with me, and then there's grass, or he's with me
Yes.
and there's a horse he's interested. So sometimes we can go right past those, and I can do a gentle little stay with me, and sometimes it just all hell breaks loose, and I am no longer the lead. And I'm assuming that's normal, but I'm not always sure in those situations what to do. And so my answers, a lot of my answers were sometimes, sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of the things haltering, and some things where I feel like I'm pretty solidly the lead, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is wishy-washy.
Yeah. This is a great question. I love that. So there are a few parts to that, right? The more we go on the edge of the comfort and confidence zone of our horse and ourselves, the greater the chances we're getting a no or a maybe or not today. The more, and we all have had those, right? The more we stay smack in the middle of the comfort and confidence zone, the easier it will be to get a yes. That's why in the beginning, right, I always look at what is possible when can I approach my horse and say, of course I can approach my horse, that I get that kind of confident answer, right? Around feeding times, is my horse respecting my personal space and honoring me? Absolutely, right? How about haltering? Well, not always, right? So there will be things that you will see consistently that there is still a doubt in your horse. And then you will see things that sometimes work. And then there are days where it doesn't work. When it doesn't work, I would look at that particular situation, right? So what was the weather like? What's going on the farm? Are there other people around? Are people hauling in horses in and out? Did I just have an argument with my boss and I'm still mad about that? And get a clear idea what potentially contributed to the maybe or not today or definitely not in your horse, right? So we have those comfort and confidence zones, and the further we are on the edge, just because of that's how it works, the easier it will be to get a maybe or a no. And then there are certain days where it works great, right? And when it works great, also think about, well, where was I today? What was I thinking? What was my energy? And things like when the wind is blowing. We've got Viv in the other group who just went through the self-study program herself, and she is doing this 100-mile Tevis Cup walk your horse kind of thing. I think it's a great idea. Some people probably ride. She walks with her horse, and he's from the kill pen, and she had a really, really hard time in the beginning with him. And the other days she said, oh my goodness, the wind was blowing and he just could not stay focused on me, and it was not a good experience. And I said, well, maybe you are not there yet to go out with your horse when the wind's blowing. And we just go when the wind's not blowing, because then we can consistently put positive experience in our horses and in our relationship bank account. Now, having said that, there is a last part to that, that we also have to match our horse, right? And there will be days where your horse happily and willingly will just plod along and do what you're saying. And then there will be days, for whatever reason, where they're just not there, right? And then I need to look at the situation from a couple perspective, a couple perspectives. One is, did I set my horse up to say no, or maybe because of what I expected was going to work and it's just not working? And then can I just remove myself from that situation and go back to something that is working? When we're looking, for example, with Sir Robin and with Anne Marie, going out of the barn and going down the driveway, right? Every time she sends in a video, it gets a little bit better. And there are a couple sides to the story, right? The further we go away from the barn, the more hesitant he becomes. But at the same time, we also need to set some boundaries for him so that we can show up as the lead. And this, depending on the horse, finding that level of where we match our horse can be hard for us, the human. And it's a matter of learning to be assertive without getting mean or mad. And it's a matter of learning that it's okay to do that. And that can be a huge challenge for us as a heart-centered horse lovers, because it doesn't feel good to us when we rise to that level that our horse sometimes needs us to be, because we want to be soft, we want to be kind, we want to be light, and we have that, but I don't want to, right? And our horse can feel that. So if I have a really hard time with that, then it will behoove me that I set myself up for not having to do that in the beginning. And just rely on the fact that the more your horse sees you as the lead, the less those other things, the environment, the attachment to the herd, any previous experiences, and the personality will matter, right? The reason why you see on Facebook, YouTube, if you go to Instagram or TikTok or wherever, you see those explosive horses is because people, and the before and after videos I'm talking about, because people set the horse up to be that way so that they then can shine and boost their ego and their business. Well, look at me, how cool am I? If they would take the time to gradually increase the horse's thresholds, you would never see that. And then it's not spectacular. And it doesn't get you the clicks that those people get, but it's so much better for the horse and for the human. So, for example, if I would take Navi out of the herd and I would go all the way out up front to the house, I would throw the baby out with the bathwater. She would get upset. Sari would get upset. And I would have to control her in order for her not to pull the lead rope out of my hand and run back to her daughter. If I would go on the other side of the fence, and I would go maybe 10 or 15 feet away, then she would maybe have a slight hesitation, but the split second she has that slight hesitation, I'm saying, you know what, we're going back. And I never get to that point where I have to match her. So it's part of it is a learning experience, what is possible for us And do I really want to go there? And if I don't want to go there, how can I slowly edge myself to that threshold? And that threshold at that point might not even be there anymore. Does that help? Okay, cool. Anybody else has any questions regarding that idea? How does your horse see you currently in your herd of two? And you had a little bit more than 5 minutes because I had to figure out how to unmute myself and how to get the video going again. Was that time sufficient? Was it too much? Was it just right? If you just want to give me a little bit of feedback on that, you can even, just pop it in the chat. So
I
that,
think the time was fine for me.
okay, good. Robin gave a thumbs up. Okay, good.
It was fine for me too.
Awesome. Perfect. Great. So let me share the screen again. And where did my thingy go? There you go. Screen sharing. Why is it paused? Let me try that again. Why does it say screen sharing paused? Let me figure that one out.
I'm a little unsure on how to go, if I did it right or not, like on what everything I'm supposed to be including in all the 5 things. So if someone that's done this before could talk a little bit about it, I might know if I'm doing it right or not, or doing it kind of close to the right thing.
I'm actually doing this for the first time like this. Do you want to, so right now we're just looking at the current hierarchy, right? So how does your horse see you when you approach? And from my perspective, Blue likes you and she allows you to approach her, right? And we've seen yesterday in the video, even when you brought your energy up and you were marching towards her, it didn't cause her any concern. So there we have it. Then how about feeding times? Is she respectful of your personal space during feeding times? How does she perceive you during feeding times? And then haltering, right? How does she perceive haltering? Well, once in a while, she still is not quite sure about that, right? And when we looked at the second video, we don't quite know what happened, that she went a little bit internal again. But I would go then, leading, picking feet, grooming, right? Those were kind of the happy horse inventory tasks that you would be looking at. And how does she currently see you in those tasks? Does that help?
Yeah, yes, that helps. Thanks.
You're welcome. And maybe I wasn't super clear either. So whenever you don't, understand something or you need more clarification, feel free to let me know that that's what you need. Okay, now it's working. And I'm gonna go full screen again. And now it says screen sharing paused again. Why does it do that? Why?
We are seeing the interconnection pyramid, if that helps.
You are seeing that?
Yeah,
So,
we can see
okay,
it.
so when I do full screen, do you still see it right now?
Yeah, that's all I see now is the analyze 5 areas of confidence and
Okay.
the pink and blue pyramid.
But
Perfect.
I also see like something on the side with like there's something on the left side.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
But it's
first
not
time,
necessarily in the way, it's just,
first time it worked, second time it did
yeah.
not. I have no clue why. So let's just leave it at this. and just ignore the stuff on the left side. It's just because I have that slide open in Canva. It shows my Canva stuff. And we've got Erin coming in. Okay. Everybody sees what's happening on the screen, the shared screen.
Yes.
Next part is of the 5 areas of confidence is the environment. And we've talked a little bit about that regarding Robin's question, right? How we can address when our horse says yes, when our horse says maybe, when our horse says no, when our horse says hell no. What are the options there, right? But when you're looking at yourself and your horse, when you're looking at your horse, how does your horse perceive the environment? And where is your horse currently confident and feels comfortable? So that could be maybe just in the paddock. That could be like in Jill's case, for example, Bougie was always in the paddock area, right? What we call paddock, pasture paddock, right? Now she's moving out of that area onto the front of the property and to the horse trailer. So that was over a period of the last couple of weeks, completely something totally new that she had not done the entire time she's been working with the horses. And we just actually increased Bougie's area of confidence and comfort in the environment because she's quite happily hanging out in the trailer, right? It's really, really cool. So the environment could be the trailer, the environment could be leaving the barn, leaving the paddock area. If you have a neighbor like me who suddenly decides to do target practicing, that could also be the environment, things that you don't have an influence on, the neighbor driving by with a tractor, the trash truck coming by, unusual noises in the environment. When Sari and Navi came here, they came from Casa Grande, which is total desert, flat, nothing. They were afraid of the grass and the grasshoppers because they had never seen it. And every time they would walk on the trail system past the area where I had really, really high grass and the chirping from the grasshoppers was really intense, they would jump up in the air and run past that part. and then, you know, would turn around and snort. And it was really cute, right? But if, you know, you would have led them past this area, then you would have had to do a lot of work keeping them calm and quiet. So next 5 minutes, let's get started with thinking, how does your horse perceive the environment? And I see that Yoson just popped in, and I'm just going to do a little summary here what we do. So Yoson, what we're looking at are the 5 areas of comfort and confidence. And we already did the current hierarchy, how our horse currently perceives us in our herd of 2. And now we're looking at how does our horse perceive the environment, and where does our horse currently feel confident and comfortable, and where do they not feel confident and comfortable yet. And I'll give you ladies, let's just say until 55, wherever you're at. So 6 minutes, 55, to kind of think about how does your horse perceive his or her environment. And I'll mute myself, and now I know how to turn that back on. And then I shall be back at 9:55. Have fun. Okay. The environment. In the beginning, the closer we stay to home in general, the easier it will be for our horse to stay in that frame of mind that we can be the lead mare, right? The further we go away from home, the more we have to have a really solid foundation of our horse really believing and trusting us as the lead in order to leave the property. Like my horses, Cash, JB, and Gus, they haven't left the property since we got here, right? But I know that I could, with either one of them, I could walk down the street and we would just have a little conversation and they all could go calmly down the street and come back, right? That would not be available with Fantasia. That would not be available with Sari. That would not be available with Navi. If I were to try that, I would definitely set myself up for a big ruckus. So knowing where your horse's confidence and comfort starts and ends is super important when it comes to environment where people a lot of times make mistake because we want to do what we want to do and we don't take our horse's confidence into consideration. Once in a while, I have people that are trainers and instructors themselves that check in with me. And the other day I had a lady that said, you know, I've had horses for 50 years. I've started cutting horses. I've been in endurance. I've, you know, professionally started horses for other people. And this horse, I just don't get her. She said she loses her marbles out on the trail. And I'm convinced that the rider is super confident. She's done this her entire life, right? She started horses. She's done all these different things. And she's not evaluating her horse's confidence on the trail. Hence, the horse loses her marbles on the trail. And it will be a matter of gradually increasing those thresholds. And she's probably missing lots and lots of mini and micro thresholds along the way. And then she sees those big thresholds that she describes as her horse is losing her marbles. And the thing is, people like that can ride through this. They're not going to get off. They're just going to somehow make it work. They control and pressure the horse through it. And it's a horrific experience for the horse because they're the entire time in self-preservation and self-protection. When somebody says to me, my horse is losing his or her marbles, that means that poor horse is completely, utterly afraid. And the human doesn't have any understanding what the poor animal is going through. But it was nice for her to check in, and I never heard back from her. I gave her some ideas, so maybe she took them and ran with them or not. I don't know. But environment, super important, right? Anybody has any questions, would like to share?
I would like to share if
Yeah, go
it's
for it.
fine. Yeah. So I have two areas where we still have more or less where we are more or less in trouble. So it's fine for us to leave the paddock and the herd. So she's not set herd bound. Yeah, yeah. But going to the arena was previously really not her favorite way to go. She stops a lot, really a lot. At the moment, we have a smooth um, walk to the arena with some stops, eating some grass. I let her eat some grass or trees or whatever. And also at the entrance of the arena, she stops again, and I said, okay, eat grass and so on. and then I spend a minute or so, and then I'm ask her to follow me to the arena, and she has some hesitation still to go in the arena, but it's more fluently. If we are on the arena, it's much better, but the going into the arena is still, she still has some hesitations going on there. And of course, you know my videos, she always has the intention to show me that she would be rather not be on the arena. So it's still there, and I'm still don't know what to do about that.
So in this case, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the other point is, we have a way to, we have a little fish pond where I'm going there, and there's a really a little barrier when I'm moving into the other area there. Then she's getting nervous and wants to take over. But there there's really some barriers where I have to, and some areas where I have to work on, and I'm at the moment I'm twice a week at least going there and going and let her eating grass at the fish pond where she's fine, where everything is good, and then I'm moving to the pasture there, and then I'm eating grass just a few seconds, and then I'm going back to the fish pond. So that's my way to approach this barrier there.
So sometimes, right, just allowing them to realize over a period of time, right, that things are calm, things are quiet, that we get to eat grass there, and just the repetition can really help. Sometimes we might have to do the figure 8, and we might need to have a cone that we're using as a marker, and we're gradually stretching that area of comfort and confidence into that area where they're losing confidence. And it's a matter of just really gradually increasing it. And that then helps with the rhythm of movement on the figure 8 to create the relaxation and the basis for interconnection. For the arena, I think that is a part where she still has some associations that not so good things happened. And I can say from experience, when Pirelli announced that we instructors had to have level 4. So when we originally signed up, we were told we had to have level 3 to be a Pirelli instructor. And then suddenly they announced everybody had to have level 4, and they gave us half a year to do so. In the program, it said it would take 1.5 years to get to level 4. And there were 4 instructors in the entire world that could teach level 4. So it was like an uphill battle, right, for a lot of people. And that's how they weeded out a lot of people that just couldn't do it in the time that was given, and they had invested all the money. And then we're told, well, too bad, so sad, you can't be an instructor anymore. Having said that, I became super task orientated because I'm like, I will do this, you know, hell bent. I'm going to get my level 4. And JB, when I would come in the paddock in Pagosa Springs, he would look at me, his eyes would get really big, his ears would go way up, and then he would run to the other side of the paddock. And once then, you know, I played the catching game and I put the halter and lead rope on him. Then he didn't want to go in the round pen because I was in the round pen a lot working on my transitions, walk, trot, canna, left, right, flying lead changes, you know, single lead changes, blah, 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 stop, turn, all that stuff. And he's like, I don't want to be here anymore. So I did for a whole week. I went in the paddock with him, and I brought my breakfast, and I ate my breakfast, and he got his breakfast. And then I would just take him back to the paddock. And after a week, he loved going in the round pen, right? There was absolutely no issue anymore. And then I had to just be very conscientious about putting enough being and just no doing time in and stop being task orientated. So I would do that in the arena, to just not do anything in the arena and feed her something really yummy there. And that strategy of just going consistently to the place, allowing her to experience. If you see every time you do it a little bit of an improvement, then we know that it works. And then the other thing that I would keep in mind, that you could do the figure eight exercise and just gradually expand that distance. Does that help?
Yeah, and I'm nearly the same. I'm doing with the arena what you're doing with JB. So, but we have a lot of being time in the arena at the moment, but I also do something with her.
Yeah.
Just a minute or two, but a lot of eating around on the edges of the arena, and 1 minute circling backwards, turning around poles, something like that, something very simple, easy going, and then leaving the arena.
Yeah. So whenever we try something, right, because we might look at, okay, maybe I can do XYZ and I'm gonna give it a try, right? And then the next day, if my horse is a little bit better, or at the very least not worse than the day before, then I have a really good chance that what I'm doing is working. If the next day it's still the same, or it's even a little bit worse, then I would consider changing the strategy, because most likely it's not working for my horse, right? When it comes to creating, a really happy place and overriding old experiences, despite that I don't believe in treat-based training, having some really yummy food, like a really nice mash or some extra carrots, apples, or whatever it is, something that is of higher value than just grazing, and something that she only gets there, can help to just add a little bit of an extra incentive for that particular area when we're trying to override previous experiences. So just give it a try, what you're currently doing, and see
Yeah,
that
okay.
it works, right? And then evaluate. I had a student in Scottsdale. Her little Arab mare was used as a lesson horse before she got her. That horse would, on her way to the arena, freeze. And she would literally stand there like eyes really big and just frozen in like in move. She would move and then she would suddenly go, ooh, and they could not get her in the arena. And they had tried all kinds of things, pushing and pulling and spanking her with the whip, and she just would not go anymore. And so
I have a quick question about that too, Carmen, because I was having an issue with Jackson, and I figured out that it wasn't being, well, some of it was being in the arena, but we had gotten comfortable there, but it was actually the threshold going into the arena. Like, for whatever reason, he still would get nervous crossing through that gate into the arena. And then I realized it was crossing through lots of gates, getting out of the paddock. And so I started working just in that gate area where we got like, we just hung out right at the gate, but not going in yet. And because once he got in, he was pretty good. We would do some little tasks and he was relaxed, but something about that, oh God, here we go. We're going through the gate. It's, things are going to change. And so I don't know, maybe Carmen, if you spend a little time just right before you go in and right there, so that that crossing into the arena isn't, oh gosh, what's going to happen next, if that makes sense. It helped me. I realized it wasn't just the arena, it was the going into the arena that we had to work on, and that's helped, gotten a little better. So I don't know if that helps, but
that's a really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Something
really good.
else if you have an indoor arena, it could simply be, hey Adele, glad you made it for a little while anyway. When you go in an indoor arena, it could also be the change of light, because horses, it takes them a while to adjust to different light situations. Now that's not an issue with Nevada because it's an outdoor arena, but that's something to also keep in mind, that can be an issue.
But it's a good thing because you're right. We have this problem going through this small way, but it's not just because it's so small, but it's the entrance of the arena, and maybe I spent some time there, and maybe I'm feeding her there with some carrots or something like that, and then in the arena the second portion of carrots, maybe that's make it positive.
Yep.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Good point.
Mhm.
Anybody else has any questions, would like to add something? Okay. Let's see, I can go back to.
Can I share something?
Yes, absolutely.
I hope she doesn't bark. Sorry. With Uma, all my horses are free in 15 meter square area, and Uma is very hard leading, but we are doing very good. I send. Will we have time to look our videos? By the way, now, Petra.
Say again, I couldn't hear all of it.
Will we watch our videos that we load today?
Today? No, today is our 90-day set
Okay.
and achieve your goals session. So we have one
Okay.
in the morning, started at 9, and the other one is at 4. The next meeting is with watching videos is on Wednesday at 8, and we only have one meeting next week because it's the 5th week of the month, and then we start with the regular schedule again May 8th. And if you can't make it to the Wednesday meeting next week, if you want to submit a video, don't worry about it. You can watch the recording, right?
Okay. With Uma, what I am trying now, when she is in the main area, I sometimes go near her and ask to walk together, or I put some rope on her neck and ask to follow me. Sometimes she does. So it's something very big, of course. It makes me so happy. So when she follows just a few steps before she regrets me, I let her free and give some kiss and go go to do my other work, for example.
Yeah.
In a daytime, many times I go to do something, just spend time, just ask little something little, walk together, give the hoof, clean the hoof, groom or something.
Yeah.
So I think this makes the progress more easier, because many times I go, many times we meet.
Yeah.
So sometimes I ask something, sometimes I don't ask, just spend time. So I think this can be good if someone lives every day, every time with their horses.
Yeah.
Uh,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Just
Even
I
if
wanted
you.
to share this.
Yeah, so absolutely. So if you have the opportunity, where where your horse lives, this going out and just doing 5 minutes here and there And sometimes just going out, doing nothing, sometimes just picking up the 2 front feet, sometimes just, oh, how about the halter? There is a huge benefit in that, and sometimes even if you, if you have to go to the barn, maybe, bring your work to the barn or bring a book to the barn and just show up for a little while and then leave, and then show up for a little while and leave. There is a huge advantage in that, because if you think about how do horses interact with each other, when they do play, it is short-lived, right? They don't play for hours and hours. That might be 5-10 minutes. And, Fantasia is known for suddenly getting the zoomies, and she runs around and she wants to play with everybody. And that's about 5-10 minutes. And then she goes back to the hay feeder and she's like, okay, I'm done now. So using that can be really putting a lot of um, deposits in your relationship bank account with spending little time on something. So yeah, it's a really good point. Love that. And okay, so when it comes to previous experiences and trauma, I am a firm believer for humans and horses that our past is a treasure chest in understanding ourselves, understanding our horse, and healing from whatever has happened, versus just shoving it in a box and putting it on the shelf and putting a pretty bow on it, never looking at it again. Because the body keeps the score of the experiences that we have, and not looking at it is not going to make the experience that is still locked in the body going away, right? In the horses, we see it with residual tension. To me, that is currently barely addressed in the horse industry. And a lot of times it is addressed in a way where people think that they have to push through the threshold, as in, my horse otherwise gets away with it. I have to show my horse who's boss. I have to follow through. Otherwise my horse learns, that she can get away with things. And when I was talking to the mom and daughter team yesterday, one of the questions that she had was, well, if we decide not to ride the horse for a while, is that a bad thing? Will it get worse? I've heard if we don't ride the horse, it will get worse. And that is such a perfect example of the horse industry coming up with utter bullshit, but people hear it and they think it makes it, not riding the horse makes it worse, when nothing could be further from the truth. Not riding the horse, establishing the relationship, teaching the horse, finding relaxation is what will solve the problem once and for all, right? So my perspective, there are 2 things to this whole previous experiences and trauma. Number 1, we can avoid looking at it, and then I feel we're doing ourself and our horse a disservice. We can use it as an excuse. Well, my horse experienced this, and that's why she can't do that. I heard that a lot at the Pirelli Ranch. Well, my horse is a right brain introvert, and that's why she is the way she is. And that's just how my horse is. They had in the a behavioral group on Facebook the other day, there was a lady that has a stallion that pins his ears during feeding times. And so people had all kinds of things to say about that, including, oh, my horse pins her ears, but she doesn't do anything else, so it means nothing. Everything means something. And if the horse pins her ears during feeding times, I would, and nothing else happens, I would consider the horse as being actually distressed. And when the horse is distressed during feeding times, then our horse will not chew properly, then she will not take the time to eat calmly. That will affect the digestion of what they're eating. That will affect their digestive system. That will affect every other organ. That will affect the absorption of nutrients. That will affect how the brain can work. And we can just, go from there. And so creating peace and calm during feeding times and the horse being able to relax is absolutely vital. And something like that can be a learned behavior. For example, if a horse was in a position where they previously were starved or they didn't have enough food, a lot of times you see that. Or when the horse is not able to eat in peace and quiet because the other horses are currently chasing them away or making threatening gestures if it's in a box stall. So there's much to be said about that, all the way that most people wean horses in a way where it's very traumatic, in my opinion, permanently scarring the mare and the baby. And that can have huge effects on the horse's life as well. So it will behoove us to understand where our horse is coming from, why they do what they do, so that we can have empathy and we don't have to get frustrated or mean or mad or disappointed. And at the same time, we don't want to use it as an excuse, because we want to use it as an opportunity to help our horse heal, and therefore to propel our relationship forward, to give our horse a better life, and to reduce scary experiences and accidents and even eliminate those. So very important to look at that. And for the next 5 minutes, let's have a look at how your horse perceives life now with you and what you've done so far versus what has previously happened in your life. Knowing that when we're writing things down that was previously have happened in our horse's life, that we're using that as an inventory to find, honor, and address and resolve those ingrained patterns, the residual tension that comes with it, versus hanging on to it and using it as an excuse why our horse can do whatever we would like to do together. So it's 10:24. Let's just say we meet again at 10:30, and that gives you time to evaluate the previous experiences and traumas that your horse reacts or responds from. And I'll just share the screen for that, and I'll mute myself and turn the video off while you get to work on that. See you at 10:30 again. What's happening here? Okie dokie. Anybody has any questions? Anything you'd like to share?
I can share again, Uma.
Yeah, awesome.
She has really too deep food aggression aggression.
Mm,
I think before maybe 1 or 2 times they were feeding her because she's always so nervous.
mm,
She's kicking the balls. All horses are free when they are eating, and it's not acceptable for her to some other horse is eating behind her, for example, with her, near her, and even if she sees some horse little far, she starts to kick walls. That so I covered with gymnastic mats
yeah,
the wall because really because she injured her hoof 2 times. And the first time when she came first 1.5 years ago, she was diving into the box into a box, but and she was trying to take how much she can take to her into her mouth. It was looking so funny, but I was saying, I think she was so hungry all her life.
oh my
And
goodness.
4 days ago, she wanted to kick me when I fed them, and I was going behind her. So
Yeah,
she hold her leg and make a little kick. It didn't come to me. She didn't want actually kick me,
yeah,
but it was not nice, of course. What did I do? I I pass behind her, and again, and I sit with her
mhm,
uh, until she gets little more relaxed.
yeah. Good point.
Then I left her and do another works again. Yeah, that's her. Still some aggression, but she's healing.
Yeah, it's to me, it's really important that we dissolve food aggression, not only from a safety perspective, but also with the food aggression comes the tension, comes the brace, and that's not just in the skeletal muscles and as a mental state, but it's also in the smooth muscles, the muscles around the organs. And that's where, you know, horses get ulcers. That's where the digestive system is impacted. That's where all the other organs are impacted, and where then lots of things show up, where the body is not balanced, where inflammation shows up, and that can cause all kinds of health issues, mental, emotional issues, right? So super important that we help our horse find calm during feeding time. We can create a routine around this. We can look at making sure that our horse feels safe. I remember Juliana with Tough and Miha. That was especially difficult because they were attacking each other through the stall walls. And so that was one of the things that we addressed first and foremost, that those two stopped attacking each other during feeding times. A, wasn't safe for the human. B, from a health perspective, very bad. But again, if we have tension in any area of our horse's life and that is persistently present, then we have a hole in our foundation and we need to fill that. One of the things that, you know, is important, that our horse has roughage 24/7, and so many horses here in the US even are fed twice a day, which always floors me that people think that's the way to go. And that just causes a lot of problems. I had a student that had to switch barns, and they were only feeding in the morning and in the evening. And her horse, within a week of being fed like this, developed aggressive behavior and was threatening the people that were feeding. And all it needed was a hay net 24/7, and the behavior went away. So super important to address anything around feeding from various perspectives. Another thing that you can do is to actively work with a bucket with feed, put it in, the paddock where you're in. That's something that you need to do with just one horse. So if you have a paddock, if you have a round pen, and you have a bucket with feed, and you're teaching the horse to approach that bucket with feed calmly, and also able to walk away and come back. That is a great exercise where we control the environment, where we take other horses out of the equation, and it's just us and our horse. Our horse has to have, can't be hungry when you do this. So we need to have roughage 24/7. But for example, a bucket with soaked cubes or something like that, that we can approach that our horse can patiently wait, then can start eating, then walks away, we come back. It's a great exercise. Good stuff. Anybody else that would like to share something or has any questions regarding previous experiences and potential trauma that your horse has encountered? Okay. Position in the herd and personality. I think we can put those together because they kind of go together. Most of the time, if your horse is by nature more confident, they are also not so attached to the herd. Usually it's the less confident horse that has extreme anxiety being led away from the herd. When you have a very confident horse, then it comes from a perspective of that the confident horse doesn't want to leave the herd because they're challenging us as the lead. But from my perspective, not necessarily so much, because the herd provides safety for them. And again, there are many nuances because of what the horse has experienced, because the personality and how our horse shows up is always influenced what they previously have experienced in their life. So I would say let's take until 10:45 and think about your horse's position in the herd now and your horse's personality, and keep the happy horse inventory in mind. For that, usually position in the herd and personality, not so much happy horse inventory as in all the different tasks. But you could look at, the approach. You could look particularly for feeding, leading away from the herd. So there still will be some tasks that will be relevant for that. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and then I shall be back at 45.
want you to slow down. I really hate that thing in there.
Okay. Position in the equine herd and your horse's personality. When um, I was still a Pirelli instructor, my personality was a big one because of the program featuring the horsenality. And I was one of the students that absolutely loved the idea of horsenality. And I found it also very fitting with all the horses that I experienced. And I saw, with my students' horses, the strategies, they all worked. And what I came to the conclusion is that a lot of times people, as I already said, they will say, well, my horse is, and that's why my horse can't do X, Y, Z, and that's why she does that, and that's just how she is. And that to me, it extremely limits us and our relationship with our horse. And it also comes from a very rigid perspective, right? The idea of the horsenality program was that you understand where your horse is currently in the moment, where your horse is as in his personality that regularly shines through, and the opportunity to center your horse. That's what that program was all about. I don't know who is still teaching it, because at one point that was part of the lawsuit, and it was my understanding that nobody taught it. So I don't know who got it and what is being done with it. So I can only speak from what I experienced when I was a Pirelli instructor. But these strategies are valid. And if you want to check it out, you can go on Google and you will find plenty of information on that without having to sign up for anything. Especially when you go to Google and you look at the pictures, then you can look at the chart. And I regularly filled out those charts for my horses. There was a whole program behind it where you could get a horsenality and humanality report. And when it comes to humanality, that was based on Dr. Patrick Handley's findings. And he is a psychologist and the founder of Insight Inventory and the creator Insight Institute and the creator of Insight Inventory, which I am certified with as a coach. And I love that program because it's not a stationary your XYZ personality program. It takes into account that we fluctuate, that our way we deal with things changes depending on our environment, what we have previously experienced, what family, society, religion we grew up in, and how we can flex our style to become a better communicator, right? And that is the same with, in my opinion, with personality, that we help our horse to become centered. And it's something that we want to keep an eye on and we want to understand. But at the same time, the more you become the lead, the less the environment, the previous experiences, the position in the herd, and the personality will matter. Because no horse in the wild says, I'm a left brain introvert, I feel lazy today, and I choose not to follow the herd. And I'm saying it on purpose with a lot of anthropomorphism put into it, because that's basically what we're saying, that our horse is like, well, I'm a left brain introvert, I'm lazy, I don't feel like moving, or, I'm a right brain extrovert, I can't stand still, I can't stand still. And it becomes an excuse. All horses follow the lead mare, no matter the environment, no matter the previous experiences, no matter their position in the herd or their personality. In the beginning, it's something that we need to look at and understand, whether our horse is more introverted, more extroverted, whether our horse is more confident, less confidence, and all the implications that comes with that. And at the same time, the more you become the lead, the more that will melt away. Does anybody have any questions so far? Would like to share anything?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So as I'm filling this one out, I realized that I don't really, I haven't, as I'm doing these beginning steps, I haven't really used his personality or personality as part of my formula as much. I mean, he is dominant, he's very extroverted, he's very dramatic,
Yes.
but he can very quickly become the biggest scaredy cat. And he's definitely more comfortable when he has other horses in sight. Um, he isn't necessary. I mean, he's attached to his horses, but just general, he wants horses around him. So he's sort of an enigma that way. But um, I'm as I was filling it out, I just realized that I haven't really incorporated this information into my behavior yet in the program, and I don't know if I'm supposed to have been.
As so, this 5 areas of confidence is addressed a little bit in the course material, but not as much as it will be when I do the makeover. So that's why I pulled that out to do that with everybody, so that it's just another arrow in your quiver that you can use when it comes to understanding of what's happening, right? And I think you made an excellent point, right? Well, my horse is confident and pushy and extroverted, and then he can be a big scaredy cat, right? So that we see that that it's not just one thing. And then when our horses switch, for example, JB, when I first met him, he was highly unconfident and he was an introvert, and a lot of times he had a tendency to freeze, right? And then he would get so scared that he would explode and would become an extrovert, right? So he was bouncing all over. And when I went after a few months to my first Pirelli clinic, back then I wasn't an instructor yet, and it was with Dave Ellis. And Dave Ellis said to me, Petra, have you noticed that your horse is not a right brain introvert anymore? And I had a quick thought, and as a matter of fact, no, I have not noticed that. He had, in those few months that I had started to work with him, he woke up, he stopped freezing, he became more confident. And so, being in the thick of it, I still had done what I just said not to do, which was pegged my horse as a right brain introvert. And all my strategies that I use that come with a humanality chart were designed for a right brain introvert, while my horse had now moved on to being way more comfortable and confident in his own skin. And nowadays he's a left brain extrovert. And a lot of times when horses that are by nature extroverted and quite confident, if they have a lot of pressure in their previous life, they can actually go right in the opposite corner, right? They go, so if you look at personality, you have a circle, you have extroverted on top, introverted on the bottom, and you have confident on the left side and less confident on the right side. And then you get a pie chart with 4 quadrants, right? So JB had started out at the bottom right, and the camera is probably going to mess that up for me, had moved to the left bottom and then up to the top. And that's where he truly lives. Unless somebody puts a lot of pressure on him and then he becomes unconfident and introverted and he goes down in the opposite corner. That happens a lot with horses. That happens also a lot with humans that are very extroverted and that are rather confident. Happens. And my personal experience with that was that as a kid, I was very shy, especially in unknown surroundings. But when I was in a surrounding that I knew and that was familiar to me, and I was with people that were familiar to me, I completely changed the way of how I acted, right? When I became a Pirelli instructor, I had huge trouble with being in with other strange people that I didn't know, going into big groups, attending events. My son's dad was still is, I'm assuming he hasn't shrunk yet, 6'4" and was a really big guy. And so I used that as my shield. I would always go places with Yanni's dad. And when my divorce happened, that suddenly wasn't available anymore. And when I was became a Pirelli instructor, I thought, okay, none of that is going to be very helpful for me wanting to be a Pirelli instructor, right? Not good. If you're an introvert, if you're not confident talking to other people, that is not a setup for a successful business. So I'm like, okay, I got to change that. And so I actively worked on becoming more extroverted and more outgoing and more confident. And I used Linda Pirelli as an avatar. I liked what she did, the way she talked to people, how caring she seemed to be, how confident she was in her presentations, her knowledge about how humans learned everything. I loved everything about it, right? And from my perspective, that was learned behavior, that I learned how to be like that, and I flexed my communication style. And when I talked with Patrick about it, he said that he felt that that was my innate way of being. And because of outside influences, I had gone down into that corner of being unconfident and kind of withdrawn and introverted and all of that. So sometimes we need outside feedback to understand, where we started out and whether it's a learned behavior or whether it's our innate characteristics that just got buried with experiences that we had. And it's the same thing with our horse. Absolutely the same thing. And it helps us to know. And the more you become the lead, the less it will matter. Does that happen? Does that help, Robin?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So this entire exercise, when you look at our little graphic here again, it is designed to stay in that area where your and your horse's confidence overlap, especially in the beginning. And not only do we want to stay in that area where we overlap, we want to be, I need to find something. like a little circle element. We want to be smaller. We want to be smack in the middle of right there. The more you venture to the outside, let's do another color. The more you venture to the edge and the outside, the bigger your chances are that you get a maybe, a no, when you're very much on the outside, a hell no from your horse. And that's where our horse is in self-preservation and self-protection. It's really important to know a lot of times with an unconfident horse, we're way more forgiving when they are not confident because we have the empathy, especially as heart-centered horse lovers, we have the empathy to understand that the horse is not confident. When we have a confident horse that acts out of self-preservation and self-protection, people often feels like the horse is trying to get out of work, he's doing this to me, he's trying to get away with things, and we're bracing against it, and it's actually something that is frustrating for us, it makes us mad. We want to get the horse to stop. Why are you doing this? Quit this. And in the end, all this is telling us, just like with the non-confident or unconfident or less confident horse, that the horse is in self-preservation and self-protection, and that the horse in that moment does not see us as the lead yet for whatever reason, right? That can be manifold. That can be because of the environment. That can be because you triggered a previous experience. That can be because you're away from the herd. That can be because of your horse's personality. Various reasons, right, why the horse is in self-preservation and self-protection. So setting yourself up to having a clear idea of where your horse currently is, what you absolutely 100% can do, and what is on the edge of I'm getting there, or I'm getting it sometimes, or gosh, I did it one time. How cool is that, right? When we're getting to that point, and then we're having things that just plain don't work yet. So I would like for you to spend the next 10 minutes and look at your confidence and comfort zone in those 5 areas, where you currently are with your horse when it comes to that hierarchy of your relationship in the herd of 2, what environments are conducive to your learning and what environments are not conducive to learning. Talked to somebody yesterday and she said, I have to put blinders on and earmuffs when I'm at the barn because everybody wants to tell me what I should be doing. And I just want to not listen and not watch and just do what I feel is right for my horse. That we are aware of our previous experiences. When you've been previously gotten scared by a horse, if you had previously an accident, if you have heard other people talk about accidents and suddenly that is within your realm of possibility because somebody else experienced it, it's important to know those things. Their position in the equine herd, you know, when we're looking at our position in our human herd, where are we? How do we show up in our environment? Do we show up in our family a certain way that we then can see that we're looking at our horse and I'm like, oh my goodness, I do the same thing. I avoid conflict. I used to avoid conflict by jumping in the car and driving away. And I would also avoid conflict with my horses by just throwing my hands up in the air. I can't do this. I'm going to go home now. Right? You will see that things like that will show up in your horsewomanship as well as in your everyday life. And last but not least, what is your innate personality? And a lot of times when we have the opposite natural personality from our horse, then it can be hard to sometimes our stand our horse to rise to the occasion, to change as a good communicator. If we're by nature an introvert, our horse is an extrovert, right? Then we have to flex our style even more than somebody that is naturally an introvert and just chills with their horse. And to me, that is not an obstacle that, we have to turn back and say, oh, I need to get myself another horse. No, it's the opportunity for us to grow as a human and to challenge ourselves, to flex our style and to become a better communicator and to better read our horse and match our horse's needs so that we can do together what we would like to do. So 10 minutes, it is 11:04 my time right now. So let's say 11:15, just kind of soak on those 5 areas and see where you are at this point in time. Okie dokie. Super important to have a clear understanding of our confidence and comfort zone, as well as our horse's comfort and confidence zones. Some of you might remember Julie Keys with her horse Gerardo. She was way in the beginning in the master class and just had started the mentorship. And her horse Gerardo came from, was either Tenerife, Mallorca, something like that, one of the Spanish islands, and had been rather abused and was taken on by somebody in Spain to be rehabbed, and then was moved on to the UK. And he's very, very beautiful horse. And when Julie went out with him on the trail, he would jig at a trot. Didn't do like any bucking or rearing or anything like that, but he would jig all the time. And so we had a chat about that. And she said, you know, it's really distressing for me when he does that. And I'm like, okay, what has happened previously that reminds you of your horse jigging? Well, comes to find out that in the indoor arena, her previous horse that she had lost prior to getting Gerardo had huge confidence issues in the arena and was rather explosive. So anything that created, that felt like extra energy in the horse was really bothersome to her. And so then we started digging a little bit deeper and we were looking at where does it start? And I said, do you have any thoughts of avoidance going to the barn at home? And she's like, oh my goodness, yes, I do. And so what we actually discovered was that same thing with me, right? Because people told me you had to get back on the horse, you have to ride to overcome your confidence issues, don't be a weenie, get back on the horse. I was watching out of my kitchen window my horses, and I thought, oh, this looks so pretty, but I don't want to go out there. I didn't think that. I'm like, but I really can't go out there because, gosh, look at those windows. They're so dirty. And, you know, I really should answer those emails. And I haven't gone shopping yet. I always had a reason why I wouldn't do anything with the horses. I would look at them and I think they would be pretty and it was so fun and oh, so gorgeous. And I love having my horses in my backyard. But actually going out and doing things, I had thoughts of avoidance. My heart rate would change, my breathing rate would change. I had butterflies in my stomach. And that was created by constantly overriding my own thresholds and listening to other people that told me to do that. So sometimes when we're looking at where we're truly comfortable and where we're truly confident comes as a surprise. And no matter where you're at right now, it's okay where you are, because just like with your horse, we can increase your comfort and confidence zone. The key is that we're honoring our own thresholds. And there is, you know, this quote that I've seen a lot on Facebook the other day, and it goes along the lines that everything you want is beyond your comfort zone. And that's not necessarily incorrect, but, and I come from my own experience, and I've seen it with a lot of other people. When we go so far out of our comfort zone to get what we want, and we scare ourselves because of it, because it's just more that we can handle, we slowly but surely shrink back. And our comfort and confidence zone actually decreases. It decreased to me to the size of my kitchen, looking outside the window. And it is important that you know where your confidence and comfort zone and your horse's comfort and confidence zone overlap, and that you're very strict no matter what other people say. Because here's the thing, Those other people that tell you do this, do that, they're not going to fix your comfort and confidence zone for you if you lose it. They're not going to be able to fix that for you. So it will behoove you to listen to yourself and not to others when it comes to that. The beauty of the mentorship program is that I can guide you slowly but surely with small steps to increase this area of comfort and confidence, with the biggest chance of consistently having positive experience, with the least chance of having negative experience. And the more you show up and the more you bring your videos and the more you do your homework, the better it will be. The less you show up, the less I can help you. And the greater the chances that you do something without sending in a video, and then something happens that we don't want to happen. So sticking with a plan and doing step-by-step videos, really, really important, right? We just had a member that is not showing up regularly for meetings get kicked by her horse. And to me, that is so, I mean, I get a heartache, okay? When this happens, my stomach twists in knots and I get a heartache because I feel so bad. And if you do not show up regularly, I cannot help you. That's just what it is. So keep showing up, keep participating, keep sending those videos. That is your best bet for steadily increasing your comfort and confidence zone. Would anybody, that you have any questions, would anybody like to share before we move forward? Okay, good. So we can move forward. Excellent. So what we've done right now is we've taken inventory where you're at right now, where you are, where your horse is, and we need to have that starting point, right? A, this is where you are right now. And then we want to look at point B, and this is where we want to be. And right now, I want you to take 5 minutes and you're gonna pick a big, hairy, bodacious, amazing goal, right? Something big. I want to participate in the Tevis Cup. I want to go and go backcountry camping with my horse for a week. Something big, right? Something that you can put on your fridge and say, this is my worthwhile goal. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I will continue to keep going, even if I feel frustrated right now, even if, I've had a setback, this is my goal. So I'm going to pick myself back up, climb out of my rabbit hole, and I keep on going because this is worth it, right? I have, lots of commitments, and I will stop scrolling on Facebook because that will get me another hour or two per week that I can spend with my horse. If you currently have time issues, time yourself for a week where you spend your time on, and then decide what you can let go of, what you can delegate, and what you want to focus on. Super, super helpful. There are lots of apps that will do that for you. I just did it, and it feels so good to stay focused and I just spend an hour doing XYZ, right? And I just started scrolling Facebook, but I just noticed what I'm doing, and this is not helpful going towards my goal. So I will stop it immediately and I will refocus on my goal. This idea of refocus towards your goal, refocus towards your goal, whether that's a personal goal, whether that's a business goal, whether that's your horsewomanship goal. Super, super important that we understand how we spend our time and what is conducive to growing and prospering and getting what we want, and what is not productive. And sometimes allow yourself to just be non-productive and watch a show or scroll Facebook or look at pretty Instagram photos, because we need that too, right? It's just a matter of being smart about how much we do it. If we do it a lot, then we might just be medicating ourselves with social media. Okay, so 5 minutes, you're big, hairy, amazing, bodacious, beautiful, worthwhile goal. And I would like to spend 5 minutes on writing down what that will be like. Not just like, okay, I want to go on a trail ride. Boom. No, 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 no. I want you to imagine that trail ride, where it's going to be, what it's going to feel like, what the environment will be, what it's going to feel like when you sit in the moss with a big high redwood trees around you and your horse, being next to you, happily eating their dinner because you just had a 5 mile ride through the redwoods. That's what I want to have you do. Okay, 5 minutes. We shall meet again at 11:31. Okay, let me know when you're ready to go. I could not remember what time I gave you. My brain has been very limited the last 3 days or so.
I could probably share, although this is very kind of hard for me, and it seems like very big goals. And in some ways, when I'm looking at where I'm at right now and where I want to potentially be, I'm not sure if it's possible. So please tell me if you think this is possible. So two kind of different things. One is I would definitely like to be able to take my horse into the backcountry and do horse camping. I used to do that with previous horses. I've actually done that with Blue, but probably not with relaxation. And so my visualization with that is, going through trees, going through rivers, going over bridges, going up and down hills without problems, without tension, and to be able to walk out with energy, because she's sort of can be a pokey in the past.
Yep.
So I have that dream. And then I have a dream of being able to do working equitation with her. And so that goes a whole different route, or in some ways a different route, where you have a visualized horse with collection, being able to pick up a proper lead, walk, trot, canter with relaxation. There's the cowboy dressage kind of part of it. So a whole another different kind of thing. So both of those are like, wow, those are big things for me. Who knows if I'll be able to get there and how long it's going to take me.
I think that's a totally achievable goal. And looking at Blue and her conformation and how nice and square she is, right? That to me would be a horse that is easily, there will be some horses, right, just because of their conformation, and will have an easier time to eventually find collection than others. And so for me, this looks like a totally possible goal. When we're looking at when you look at my program, right, and this idea that I based my program on the classical dressage pyramid. So rhythm, relaxation, connection is the first 3 pillars of the classical dressage pyramid, coming from a place of rhythm within movement, relaxation in movement, and connection to the bit, right? To me, rhythm and movement, yes, we absolutely want to have this. This is great, and that's part of the pre-ride safety check. But we start with rhythm, such as developing healthy, positive patterns. And there is a rhythm in patterns where our horse can expect this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and just how we show up, right? When we show up consistently, there is a rhythm in it. And that leads to relaxation. And in my opinion, I could care less about connection to the bit. I personally don't feel you don't need a bit to get collection. It's that interconnection that we offer connection to our horse, and that our horse happily and willingly connects with us, so that we both can feel safe, empowered, and confident together. And from there, we have the opportunity then to work towards, what's the word? Equal woe and go, impulsion, and straightness, and then collection. So you're working towards that goal, right? And from my perspective, this idea of having healthy biomechanics and proper posture, that is what collection is all about. And it will behoove us to help our horse get there, because that's how they stay healthy, right? If they, I'm currently posting on a post from not quite sure whether she's still a Pirelli instructor. She was the first person to pass the old Pirelli 3 with a gaited horse, with a Tennessee Walker. She's very much into Tennessee Walkers. Super nice gal, just absolutely, looked up to her for accomplishing that, because it is not easy to help a Tennessee Walker to have a beautiful canter and do flying lead changes. It's very hard. And she did a fantastic job. When that video was still online, I loved that video. Everything looked lovely and fluid, and it was a natural Tennessee Walker. And I lately had heard from a friend of mine that this lady had felt the pressure to conform to the Tennessee walking horse industry, which has these, exaggerated gaits. And so she posted a video the other day where she taught her horse with treats, and I'm assuming with weighted shoes, because she had a specific farrier come out for that, to do these big exaggerated movements. And I just couldn't help myself to say that how disappointed I was to see that. And what is happening is that the horse is pulling his front leg up with his shoulder and neck muscles to get this exaggerated big gait. And when you're trying this in your body right now, just imagine you're exaggerating every step like this, higher and higher and higher. Look at what muscles are starting to hurt, and feel into your back, what is happening in your back. It is absolutely impossible for that horse to properly engage his hind end and round his back to be in a posture that will not compromise his health over time. It's impossible. It's the same thing like when your horse has the head high up, right? When we're in a state of self-preservation and self-protection, when the horse is high up, so we can simulate it. I could do it on the ground, but then you can see me, right? So I'm simulating when my head goes up, right? This is the horse. My head is way up. There is no way that I can round my back when my head is pushed up like this, right? So now my back is hollow, right? And this is where the human sits. Talk about kissing spine, right? And now, how far can my lower leg go under my body? I can bring my leg up to here. I can pull and yank and jerk on that leg. It's not going to come up higher. It's physically impossible because my pelvis is tilted, okay? So now when my pelvis is tilted the other way and I round my lower back, then I can bring my leg up to here, which means your horse can bring his or her leg underneath the body in order to have collection. And so when you are teaching your horse to find relaxation, therefore the body finds a place of being able to have proper biomechanics and healthy posture. And so that's what then gets us into equitation, into cowboy dressage, into classical dressage. And it will behoove you, if you're saying, I just want to trail ride, which trail riding is something that is one of the most challenging things for our horse because of the environment, right? Because the environment changes, because the environment is new, because we cannot control the environment out on the trail like we can do at home, right? So this is a high level of being in a big confidence, having really grown our confidence zone. And it all starts with a little stuff to get you solid foundation to layer those experiences upon that. So in the end, you're on your way to doing equitation, and you're on your way to going to overnight camping with your horse Blue. And that's what I would like for you ladies to see, that you don't look at down there like, I'm doing the happy horse inventory. That's all I'm doing. I'm approaching my horse, I'm feeding my horse, I'm grooming, haltering, it's not working, leading, okay, yeah, leading, sometimes picking up feet, oh shit, there's saddling, yeah, saddling not happening either, right? But you're working on the rhythm, you're working on the relaxation, and those are just tasks that we will be layering on top that foundation that you're creating. And you will see, just like with Jill and Bougie, you know, in such a short period of time, she has left the paddock. She is loading in the trailer. She is getting quite nice about now we eat, now we don't eat. She's showing up confidently for her human. She's listening, right? There's so many things happening now. Oh, excuse me. My cat is in my sunroom and there are plants in there that he cannot eat. So be right back. How did you get in there, you little stinker? You know you're not supposed to be in there. Out, out, shoo, shoo. Sorry about that. I've got an oleander in there and a couple other things that would be toxic, so. Does that make sense to everybody that the split second you're starting the program, that you're working towards the goal because of the foundation you're creating? So I absolutely love that goal and I think it's absolutely possible. Anybody else that would like to share something or has any questions?
I wanna share.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's same for all of us to go trail riding with our horses because it's really wonderful to walk together, spend time in the nature, in the
Yes.
lakes, river. It's really amazing.
Mm.
Also, I dream this. I'm feeling that I'm getting close to this dream. Now, even if it looks impossible, but I know there is nothing impossible. So I trust my horse or horses. Yeah,
Mhm.
I want to visit my neighbor with my horse or horses. In our new property, we will be out of the village. So I dream to go to public bazaar. I visit my neighbors, my friends with my horses. These are so good dreams, plans,
Yeah.
because I wanna spend all my time in outside with my horse, so like a friend. You're hanging out together.
Yeah.
And my second dream is I really wanna be able to have people's horses because I see horses, they are in really deep traumas, but owners doesn't see that.
Right.
Their horses are biting, kicking, doesn't give hoof problems, and they just don't care about it.
Yeah.
It a few weeks ago, I visited my friend. He has 8 horses, and actually all his horses has too many problems. And I wanna work with one of them. So he said to me, when I see you are working on Asya, the horse name is Asya,
Mhm.
you really make big something different with her. So I really want to work. I really want you to work with Asya. When you move here, we will move after a few weeks.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's really amazing to help other horses. This is also my second dream.
And the more, so first of all, right, we can help humans and horses when we do that. But also the more we meet new horses, the more we can learn about how to be the lead mare and how to have a conversation with a new horse, right? There's a huge advantage to that. And if it's not something that you can do personally, you have the opportunity here in the mentorship to meet other humans, to meet other horses, and to see that journey. And to me, that idea that we're learning from and with each other is such a big part of being here in the mentorship and also staying in the mentorship, because it is your opportunity to surround yourself with like-minded people, which you might not always have at home, right? And then it's exciting when, people say, hey, I would like for you to show me how to do this. I would like for you to work with my horse, because that's also, talking about my dream. That's my dream, that we're growing, that the idea of people being the lead mare for the horse, so that all these traumas and abuse situations don't happen, because like Yusun was saying, people just don't know any better, right? So spreading the word, that's absolutely fabulous. And that's why I want to build out more my instructor program. And if you're interested in wanting to help other horses and humans, let me know. I have one spot that I want to fill this year, and then I'm gonna probably close it until the end of the year. But there's an opportunity to grow yourself, to help other people and other horses. And I'm really, really passionate about a business approach when it comes to being an instructor, because when I was a Paralympian student instructor, nobody helped us build our business. There was absolutely no support. And so I come through my parents' car dealership, which I did never wanted to be in. And my mom talked me into it. I have a lot of business background that is helpful in growing a business, but also in the knowledge that I have accumulated over the years, how to build a business, particularly online, right? Because we just have more of a reach. I find that totally awesome, Yosem. I'm so excited for that. Super, super, super.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to share or has any questions? Robin, you gotta unmute yourself. Otherwise, we can't hear you.
Sorry, there we go.
There you
Hi.
go.
Well, so you didn't hear me say the first time, I think I like to share. 'Cause, so my big goal, which sounds like a lot of ours, is to be out on the trail with both of us being comfortable and confident, and um, the biggest part of it would be really nice to be able to go out alone and not feel like I had to depend on other horses and people being there to give us that herd confidence. I would like to have it just be our herd of two.
Yep.
I feel like I can be I can identify Jackson's thresholds, but I have more trouble with my own, I guess. So I feel like I'm calm and comfortable and confident, and then when his energy shoots up, it's like I too lose my grounding and my comfort and confidence. And I know that going back to 3 and 4, that's from our experiences um, and trauma of the past. And so I'm looking at how I can work on mine at the same time. I feel like it's a me problem as much or more than it's a him problem. And I want to be I want to be able to keep my confidence when he loses his.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, my biggest challenge, to get to being able to get out on the trails. So.
Yeah, and the more you will see that you're building his confidence and you're helping him find relaxation, the more you will notice that will help build yours.
Yeah, and I do feel some of that. I just feel like he's moving along maybe a little faster than I am.
Well, then you're doing a really good job, though, helping him. Right?
I guess, yeah.
He's one of those, is another horse that had some pretty extreme trauma coming from the gaited show horse world. And by nature being confident and being damaged, those are tricky horses.
Mhm.
And there's an amazing opportunity for us to hone our skills to read the horse because they switch, right? They are all over the place.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're totally confident, and then, like that one lady said, they're losing their marbles, right?
Yep.
And the more we can read it, what happens before what happens, the more we can feel ourselves into it, the more we have strategies how to either avoid it or to lessen it, or when we're in it to make an actual difference, right? The more we will grow our confidence because we feel competent. When you start to feel confident, that, you know what, I know exactly what I need to do right now. That helps us with our confidence. And this, my movie of what happened with my horse played in my head over and over again. And if I would have known back then what I know now about EMDR, eye movement desensitization reintegration method, I would have taken advantage of that, simply helping myself to let my brain go of that attached pattern of going there. Because I remember specifically having one situation. So I had done what other people told me. I had bought another horse and I let go of that horse that I had the accident on, and I still regret it to this day. After a while, I tried to find him, and he was just, I didn't know that, he was, my neighbor told me I need to bring him to some kind of selective sale in Denver, and stupid me, I just did that. And Yusun said, I need to leave for taking donkeys inside. I loved everybody's dreams. We will make our dreams come true. And I know it was super helpful meeting. Love you. Love you too. Bye now. Absolutely. We make our dreams come true. And so this very pattern, just because I bought another horse, wasn't gone, right? So I got back on the horse. I was in the arena, and this plastic bag was floating around through the pasture, and my eyes locked onto that plastic bag, right? And that plastic bag came closer and closer and closer, and eventually just tumbled in between my horse's front feet and then just kept moseying on, right? My horse was like, oh, what's that? Oh, look at that. Interesting. Wow, look at that. Wow. Yeah, okay. I had a meltdown. I was crying relentlessly. I couldn't stop. I couldn't get off the horse. Yanni's dad literally had to lift me off the horse, right? And he's like, what's wrong with you? It just, my brain put that movie in my brain. And while this plastic bag was, moving and my horse did nothing, I relived that accident. And so helping ourselves, letting go of those ideas, like Jennifer, when she was here, we were talking about that when you're a farrier. What do horse people tell you? They tell you about your horse, including all the bad experiences that they had and all the accidents they experienced, right? So you get consistently exposed to other people's shit. And it's not easy not to remember that when you have a scary experience with your horse. So EMDR, tapping, breathing exercises, and there are lots of different breathing exercises that are out there. Switching with the nostrils. I think it's called nostril breathing, where you hold one nostril closed and then you inhale, exhale, and then you bring it over to the other one. You get so focused on, where do I need to put my finger? Do I need to inhale or exhale? That everything else just melts away. Super powerful. And tapping, of course, essential oils, Bach flowers. There are things that we can definitely do to support ourselves, to let go of previous experiences. And that's part of being the lead mare and taking care of yourself, right? When I came back from Texas, I noticed I was standing, I don't know whether you guys noticed, but I was standing in the meetings like this. I had my elbows next to me and my arms were like this, and I was completely, totally like locked. And I'm like, what is this, right? And so I ended up going to a lady here locally. She did a massage to help with my contracted muscles, but then she also did a Reiki session, and that really helped. And now since I had the massage, I've maybe noticed it like 3 more times where I start to do it, and then I'm immediately noticing, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 we don't go there. And then I can stop it, and I'm gonna go and do one more massage in Reiki, and then I think that has left my body. So that's definitely something to think about. Absolutely. Good point, right? Bach flowers, they are spelled BACH flowers. It is Bach center spelled the UK way, so CENTRE.com is the original birthplace of Bach flowers. It was Dr. Bach. He was a physician and had a lot of terminally ill patients and wanting to help people with their emotions that are surfacing when we know we're gonna die. And he devised 36 flower essences. When you go to the Bach flower website, there is actually a chart where it talks about each flower and what it's for. It goes over grief and being mad and afraid, any emotions right there. You can also get the rescue remedy, which is a combination of 5 flowers. And there are 2 flowers for fear. One is aspen, one is mimulus. One is for known fear, one is for unknown fears, where we just make shit up, right? Where we don't have anything specific, but just everything is scary. And they have helped me tremendously. And again, they are great for the horses. Angel has used them a lot for Harry, and it's very inexpensive because, like anything else homeopathic, when you get the bottle, you can dilute it. You don't have to use it pure. You can dilute it in water, and it lasts forever. So small investment, big results. And you can, here in the US, if you have access to natural grocers, they carry the entire line, and a lot of local health food stores will also have it. Or you can even order them on Amazon. I've seen them on Amazon as well. It's about, I think, $16 for a bottle or so. Definitely worth it. I never run out of rescue remedy. When my boyfriend died, when I was like 18, 19, I lived on rescue remedy. That's when I first got introduced to Bach flowers through my neighbor, who was a holistic, he was a naturopath. So good stuff. Okay, so this big, hairy, bodacious goal, I would really like for you to put that somewhere prominent and to really have it in front of you. If you frame it and put it on your tack room or at the entrance of the barn, or you put it on your refrigerator, or you get a little magnet and you stick it in your car, whatever you do, have that in front of you. And if you have moments of doubt and frustration, which they do come, right? It's not that we can't avoid them, but we have a possibility to choose how we respond to them. And you need to look at that. This is my goal. This is why I'm doing this. And this is why I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm letting go of the frustration. And then I figure out what step can I take next that gets me towards that goal. You will, is this right now, right? For example, I'm going to the barn, and one of my wonderful barn buddies wants to cram something down my throat that I really don't want to hear. And it's like, you know what? This is so nice that you care about me and my horse. I have a specific plan. So This is nothing against you, but I don't want to spend any time on this because I have a plan and I want to use all the time that I have on that plan. But thank you so much for caring. I really see that you want to care and I appreciate that. Boom, mosey on. Off, you don't get it in your brain. You don't have to be mad or anything like that. It's that clarity. This is my goal. This is my goal. This is my goal. This, no, this is my goal. Very laser focused. Okay, so we got a very good idea where we currently are when it comes to our comfort and confidence zones in ourselves and our horse. You've kind of looked at the happy inventory, where you are in those areas, what your horse has to say about those areas. And before we get started on creating a roadmap for everybody to get where you want to be, I would like for you to spend 5 minutes to write a letter to yourself from your horse and what your horse would like for you to do next. And that can be, Dear Petra, and then just conscious stream of writing. What might your horse tell you what they would like to experience in the next 90 days with you? So it is 12:05 my time right now. So maybe we do 7 minutes on that. So 12:07, and this time I will remember the time. We'll meet again and we'll go from there. Sorry for being late. My cat got out and I don't want her to be out. Not a good thing. Okay. If anybody wants to share, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop in. We have I want to say maybe 45 minutes to go. So now that you know where you want to be and where you are right now and what your horse would like to do, let's look at the strategies for the next 90 days. So next 90 days, let's say to make it easy, we're starting in May, right? So that's May, June, July. And we'll be looking at 3 meetings per month. So you will have 9 opportunities to send in, well, we'll be looking at 12 meetings per month, 36 meetings, but in general, right, if you attend 1 meeting a week, you have the opportunity to send in 9 videos. And with these 9 videos, that's the progress that we're looking for, right? Along with the implementation week. And as always, the implementation week is designed for you to review what you did the previous 3 weeks and to kind of stay stationary in that week and stick with the things that you've worked on for the last 3 weeks. And from my perspective, the more you can be consistent with looking at, this is how we do the meetings, this is how I schedule my month, the more progress you will see, because the whole system is designed to give you progress. You show up with a specific video, we talk about it, we talk about what's working, we talk about what you're working on and what to do the next week so you can stay focused on getting the next thing moving. Sometimes that will be something that you can resolve within a week. You're going to check it off and then we move on to something else. Some things are like a red string, right? That kind of just goes through everything we do. For example, space conversations are some of those things that kind of have like a red string that goes through everything we do, because of our horse is confident and our horse has a history of evading people's personal space. And if you think about it, I did that the other day. Not that many people were here. Where's my phone? I think 6 years are 52,580 hours, if I remember correctly, that your horse lived in a certain state, right? Let's just say, horse is 6 years, brought up by the same owner, and those 6 years have brought your horse to the day you bought your horse. And now everything changed. The environment changed, the person changed, the friends that the horse had are suddenly no more. The comfort and confidence zone might be completely, gone at this moment, because everything is new, everything is overwhelming, and then we go from there. And now we're considering that we're spending, X amount of time per week with our horse. I don't want this to be a comparison that you're like, oh my gosh, I will never change that. I just want you to see that it took a while for your horse to get the way how he or she is. And most communication, right? It's the quality, it's not the quantity. I went a couple days ago to a lady. They moved last year from Washington. They bought a 90-acre farm, gorgeous. At the end of the road, total privacy, really nice setup for her 3 mules. Super nice person, really, really like her. And her mule, Loretta, was bought online with, this is what this mule is like. This is what she can do. And then when the mule arrived, she realized that what the description was not what she got. And she's just one of those people that she said, I've been thinking about maybe selling her and getting myself another horse because, she is consistently inconsistent. I just don't know what will show up. But then, I'm imagining her going in the pool of unwanted horses and maybe just being passed on down the line. And I'm like, I'd rather invest in myself than get rid of my horse. Awesome. These are the kind of people that we want to have, right? And so what Loretta did, she came over and she started very friendly, not pushy, not aggressive, not dominant, but she started checking me out. So I just kind of, reached with my hands. And so I had the cat going figure eights around my legs, meow, meow, meow. And there was Loretta, and she was like checking out my hands and sniffing, and then she pushed her nose in my hands, and then she kind of rubbed her lips on my hands, and then she kind of started to like grind her. She wasn't biting me, she just kind of did this with her teeth. And I noticed, her owner was just kind of watching me, because she also went over to her owner and she said, don't do that. And I just allowed her to kind of have that curiosity, like I said, wasn't dominant. And then she walked away. And she did, and she blew out, and she licked, and she yawned, and she rolled her eyes. And the owner said, "Oh, this is so interesting." And then she came back for more, right? I didn't work with the horse, right? I just was standing at the stall, right, talking to the owner, and I just had these little interactions. I made sure that I was very aware what my energy was going to be like, because that was the first time that I met Loretta, and I'm going to go back and meet her hopefully more often. And I just set a precedent of how I show up. This is how we do things together. And that's why she found so much relaxation, and then she came back for more. The first time when she put her head down, and I had my arm was kind of leaning on the panel, right? So she put her head on down, and then she put her head up. And because she put her head up, not because I touched her, she touched my arm with her ear, and she's like, ah, ah, she's like shaking herself. And then she went away, got relaxation, came back, put her head down again, touched my hand, and just rested there. No negative response. These are conversations that probably 99.9% of people will never have. And I know from the bottom of my heart that I just dumped a huge deposit in that relationship bank account. So exciting. And so you can do that on a daily basis. Wow, today I show up for the first day. And look at what's possible, right? So exciting. More about quality than quantity. Is there a part where we need to do repetition, like what Carmen was saying, right? That she's just going back to the fish pond, just allowing her to experience that, just grazing there, and that with repetition, we can expand that comfort and confidence zone, right? With repetition, we can override what previously other people have installed in our horse. And so there is that as well. But the higher the quality of your communication is, the less time you need. And I'd rather have you less time with high quality conversations then lots of time was just chatter, 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 and no, nothing comes out of it. That being present and being very conscious of what you do with your horse, with your mule, with your donkeys, that's paramount, right? And so that's what I would like to encourage you to do with the inventory, that you don't just do it today and then, you know, you go off to the races again, but that you take what you wrote down and you spend a little bit more time on this later today or tomorrow or during the week, or, you know, when you have time during the week and you get yourself, you know, a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever you like, and you just sit down and like, you know what, I'm going to go over this again and I'm going to make some more notes, because this idea that you're percolating what all the information that you received in these few hours, and that you're going back to it and that you're really sitting with it, is really, really vital. Having said that, part of how we go about our inventory and how we go about um, setting goals, long term, medium, short, is that we need to be conscientious of the time that we have available. And also, how much time do you want to commit? Because, like I said previously, time yourself for a week and write down what you're spending your time on, and then really look at what is important to you and where do you want to focus that time to achieve what you want, and what are things that you can let go of, maybe not forever, but maybe for the next month, what you can delegate to somebody else, right? And what you can maybe have a little bit more of a plan to use less time. There are lots of things how we can become cognizant of our time. And I do somewhere have an old article where it's like 10 tips how to make more time or something like that. I can post that also in the group to just give you some extra ideas, because I hear a lot that people don't have time. And I would always encourage you to look at it when we're saying, and that can be for our personal life, that can be for our business, that can be for our horsewomanship. Two major things usually come up, right? Oh, I don't have time for that, and I don't have the money for it. And money, there can only be so much in our account, right? So that can be a valid concern, but it can also be an easy way out, and there can be something underneath this. Maybe we don't feel worthy to spend money on ourselves, right? Maybe we are not good with dedicating a certain amount of time to plan on where we spend our money, and goes to places that we don't even know. Whatever it is, always think about when you have a reason why you do things or why you don't do things. Is that my true reason, or is that more of a superficial thing that I don't have time for that? Can I make time, right? Oh, I don't have money for that. Well, what if you would, coming up with something, bake a cake once a week and you put it in your Facebook group and you sell that beautiful cake, or you bake bread or whatever, right? Where you make just a little bit extra money that you can do what you want to do. And the same thing we want to do in our horsewomanship, that we look at, oh, okay, I see this is happening. Is that the true, real root cause? Or do we need to go underneath, and do we need to start digging? Oh, my horse is walking away when when I come with a halter. Where is the root cause? What has the horse experienced that the halter now has a meaning and the horse doesn't want to be haltered? And then we need to go as deep as we can to resolve those mini and micro thresholds. So I would like for you to spend about 10 minutes going through your notes and looking at your time that will be available to you in the next 90 days, in the next 3 months. Looking at that you're planning on attend 3 meetings per month, and you use the implementation week to review. What is for you an achievable goal that you can set for you and your horse, where you're looking at it, you know what? In 90 days, my horse will totally accept the halter. In 90 days, we're gonna go on walk trail rides. In 90 days, I can pick up my horse's forefeet. In 90 days, I can go over simple obstacles with my horse, whatever it is. Something where you're like, oh yeah, I can totally do that. I believe that I can do that. If you allow your intuition to guide you, I doubt you will be wrong. So 10 minutes, go through your notes first, look at what's already working, pat yourself on the shoulder. Good job, I did this. And then look at what are maybe 3 things in that list that you want to put on your, this is what I want to achieve in the next 3 months. If you achieve it earlier, amazing, you pick another one. If you notice you're having struggle with achieving those goals, not a big deal at all, because you can go in the meeting and you can go under the blue post and you can say, okay, this was my goal and not working right now. And I don't even have a clue where I want to start about that. And then we find a plan for you, right? So notice that I am giving you the license to create your own plan and to feel yourself into the situation with your horse, because you're there, you know your horse better than anybody else, you know yourself better than anybody else, and you get to pick that road map. I would encourage you to post that roadmap in the group, to make that statement and hold yourself accountable, instead of putting in your own little private drawer and then you're like once in a while look at it, right? Make it public, because this is what you're going to stand for in the next 90 days. And just know that all the support in the world is available to you to work on the goal that you choose. And now we just keep chipping away at it every week. 10 minutes. Yeah, doesn't sound like enough, because you need to read through things, you need to think, you need to write things down. Okay, 15 minutes. You review your notes. You look at the things that are working. Please, please, please do that. You know, put little check marks, little hearts, whatever it is. Acknowledge that, right? And then from the things that you've noticed in the comfort and confidence zone, pick 3 things that you will kind of use as your guiding light for the next 90 days. And then I'll see you again at my time, 12:45 p.m. Fun. Go. How did that go for everybody? So as I am going to work on the new platform and the makeover of all the course material, there will also be my book, and there will also be a companion journal that will use this way of taking inventory. So you're gonna have a place where you can actually put that, and where you can do reviews and have a more of a structure that I provide. So I'm working on that as well. So exciting. And anybody that is in the mentor membership will get all of it, the book and the journal and the printouts and the new course material. My goal is to create shorter lessons so that they really do stick with those 10-15 minutes that I suggest, which is, I have to admit, a challenge for me because I'm such a wordy person and because I feel all the details are important. So it will be a good challenge for me to become more cohesive in how I present the material. Okay, so I've talked about, how I would use this process with Sari, and I might do it simultaneously with Sari and Navi. We'll see. Right now, Peter, my friend Peter, Dr. Peter Jeffs in the UK is working on doing actually a soul retrieval for Navi, for those of you that are interested. And a lot of it has something to do with a journey. And so I'm quite excited, the little bits and pieces that I have already heard. For those of you that are interested, come to think of it, I thought I said previously I would post mine, and then I think I forgot about it. It never ended up in the file section. So I might just do that. And then when I get Navi's soul retrieval journey and the accompanying paperwork on it, I might just post that in the group. So for those of you that are interested in woo-woo stuff like that, then you can have a look and see whether that would be something that is suitable for you. I did my birth chart with Peter, and I did a soul retrieval with Peter, and it was just mind-blowing in a really good way. Super exciting. But having said that, going back to this idea of taking inventory, for me, this is part of taking inventory of understanding what has happened, what healing still needs to take place, how we can facilitate, and all of that. But when I look at Sari, so they came in August of 22, and I had done 17 sessions with them from the moment I first met them in order to prepare both for the trailer ride home, which was a 3.5-hour ride. And when I look at what I started out with 2 horses that were hesitant on being approached, that didn't like to be haltered, that really didn't want to lead. They didn't want to, spend anything more than, 5 feet apart from each other, that had already plenty of negative experiences with Sari slamming the previous owner against the trailer and causing an ER visit and still not going in the trailer. They tried for 8 years to load that horse in the trailer, never succeeded. Navi did go in the trailer, but she was shaking in the trailer. She was highly unconfident. So it took 17 sessions for them to get to know me, to build the basics for trailer loading, which had to be approach, haltering, leading, picking feet, and stepping on things, right? I usually try to assemble the whole trailer. That wasn't quite possible. So I worked on stepping on the pedestal, and then I moved onto the trailer. And, you know, that trailer ride going home was totally cool. They were so calm. I drove behind the trailer to make sure that we could immediately see anything going on. And throughout the 3.5 hours on the interstate, stopping at the gas station, they just never lost their relaxation that I had achieved and how confident they had moved into the trailer. Here, everything, of course, was new. Like I said, they were afraid of the crickets and grasshoppers. It was quite funny. But at the same time, you know, for them, it was not funny at all. They also had not experienced a herd. They had not experienced a trail system like I had. They had not experienced this electric fencing. Sari was extremely protective of her mom, and with their size being 16 3 hands and 1,500 pounds, I really needed to make sure that they came from a perspective of getting along well with my horses, because if they would kick one of my smaller horses, that could mean big danger. And I've off and on seen horses get kicked and break legs on the Pirelli Ranch. Happened once with a friend of mine. Horses weren't turned out, horse got kicked, leg broken. Another time the horse kicked against the panel fencing and got his leg caught up in the fence, leg broken. So that was 6 months of getting them situated, of getting them to just be horses in a herd, and to positively respond around everything that we were doing on a daily basis. And so since then, we've just been doing everyday tasks. And that in itself has led to two horses that are very friendly, that don't feel the need to throw their head up in the air anymore when I put the fly mask on or put the halter on. They're now spending times where they're separated at a good distance. And so my big goal is that I want to do liberty, I think with both of them, right? And that I would like to ride, and that I would like to get into classical dressage. And that has been a goal of mine for years. And because of my time constrictions, never happened. So there we go. So for me, those next 90 days will be spent with working towards the pre-ride safety check. And that would mean walk, trot, canter, both directions, with rhythm relaxation and interconnection, change of direction, jumping over something, and doing that without saddle. And maybe I get to the point where I can introduce the saddle. I don't know yet. So I've got now a arena semi set up that can be used even when it's going to start raining in July. And so I have a lot more in place that I didn't have during the winter time. And I will go ahead and send regular updates on how that will go. Okay. Anybody would like to share any questions that you have right now? It could also be good to, you know, percolate on what we've talked about and come back next week. Whether it's during the meeting or on the blue post, just know that you have all the support that you need to have to move forward. I think Carmen is ready to share. Awesome.
Yeah, I would like to share my 90-day goal and how to achieve it, this 90-day goal.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, we have this problem at the pond, or beyond the pond. And my goal is really to establish a smooth and calm trail walk to all directions. Not I have directions where we are fine, but this one direction we still struggling. So I really would like to establish a weekly walk to at least starting with 10 minutes to the direction where she's already fine, so that we are used to leave the barn and to have to have this in place and don't have problems with that. And I would like to increase by week, every week, maybe 5 minutes, or how it goes, and how the weather is going. And on the other side, spending time at the pond and beyond the pond, and also there increasing the room spending on the pasture where she's struggling with, but taking care that she's really fine what we are doing, and that she's not, because that's really quick, and sometimes I miss it when she has starting getting in problems, and then she's leaving. And that I want to avoid that she's leaving. That's one of my goals, that I don't come into the situation that she's going without me. And for that I also have to work constantly on following a feel, and through lightness, through softness, because that's something that we have always have problems with. And if I don't be really precise and strategic with that, it's getting worse every time, because she has a tendency to run into pressure, to have her opinions and raise her opinions by doing these things. And yeah, I had some good experience already today, but I really have to be working on that, and saddling and all these things that is coming to my big goal with riding. Yeah, it's also something that I have to establish and be constantly working on.
I think those are great goals, right? And then eventually you can saddle and walk with the saddle. This idea
Yeah,
that walk trail rides cannot be underestimated when it comes to preparing for riding, right? Because we can practice riding on a loose rein from the ground. Because if your horse can follow you on a loose lead rope and stops when you stops and turns when you turn and backs up when you back up, then all you got to do is make sure that your horse is okay with you being on top and riding, and it is a little bit of a different position. But the principles that your horse follows, your intent, energy, and body language stay the same. And so we might, depending on the situation with the horse, when, if your horse has previously been ridden, we might have to go through a stage where we are just the passenger and somebody else is still being the lead mare on the ground, or we have somebody else be the passenger and we're still the lead mare on the ground, and that we then gradually giving that responsibility of becoming the rider, the one that is then the lead mare while riding, over. And that can be a really nice gradual way to help the horse experience somebody on her back in a really low key, low ask environment, right? Because unless the horse has never truly accepted the rider, right? It's more of a matter of, just like what we did on the ground, to get the horse comfortable with following us and our suggestions. And sometimes, horses might have never really truly accepted the rider. They might have never truly accepted the saddle. And then we have to have, more steps in between. But going from trail walk rides to trail walks to being the passenger, to being the rider is a great way, right, to do that. And I would, being the passenger and becoming the rider is something that we first can do in a smaller area, and then eventually go out on the trail. But if you have established a solid pattern, like if you get like a 10-minute walkabout, if you have a property that you can do that 10-minute walkabout, and you do that really consistently, and your horse follows you, and we have no hesitation, and we have that rhythm, relaxation, and interconnection, then that is a really nice way to then use that pattern to build on it. So I think that's a great, 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 great suggestion. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
You're welcome. Anybody else has any questions, would like to share? Okay, well, percolate. Maybe not right now, right? Because now your head is full, and it's, you can just let your brain rest. But percolate, maybe tomorrow and next week, and kind of look at what notes you wrote. Consider to share in the group and create your, post your 90-day goal, so that we can also go in the meeting back to, this is your goal, and this is what's happening right now, and this is what we're working towards to, so that we're really laser focused on that. And if any questions come up in between, then you've got the blue post. We do have a meeting on Wednesday, no meetings on Friday and Saturday. And then we have the regular schedule again. I'm pretty sure it's May 8th. Yes, May 8th is Wednesday. So then we have our implementation week, the last week of May. And I will be starting to, so when it comes to the course material will for now stay in Kajabi, and I will start to move things over to the new platform. And then as things pop up over there, you can make a decision, right? Whether you just want to pop over there and start with that, or whether you want to stick with the material that you're currently going through, or you finish the stuff on Kajabi first and then you hop over. Whatever you would like to do, whatever is better for you. Some of those things I might be doing live, and I will talk more about that as I get closer to it, but that's going to be the next 3 months. I will be moving things over and create the new curriculum, and anybody that is in the annual membership will receive that curriculum for lifetime access. And eventually Kajabi will melt away, but that's not something that will happen anytime soon, because I want to make sure that you don't get disturbed in your learning process where you're at right now. But that's kind of the plan. Okay, well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate it. And percolate, like I said, put your big, bodacious, hairy, worthwhile goal somewhere where you can see it, and show up regularly for the meetings so that we can follow up on your plan and make sure that that growth and progress actually happens, right? Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Have a wonderful rest of the day. As always, be blessed, and with lots of love, because love makes everything better, including our horsewomanship. Bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.